Hey, welcome back to the Social Spreader after a 1 week hiatus. Me, the wife, and the 9-month-old went down to Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where we moved. We're currently in the north suburbs of Denver right now. We moved from there, and we just had to see some family. My wife had to tie up some loose ends with her job, and we were actually lucky enough to get tickets to the Packers Cardinals game. We were actually sitting in the corner of the end zone where the walk off interception happened, and gonna launch some extremely grainy, great photos on my Instagram page for the Social Spreader. You can find me on Instagram at the Social Spreader. Gonna be putting a very definitive first post up there. And after seeing him in person, after seeing Aaron Rodgers with a JV wide receiver core, no doubt in my mind that is the most talented quarterback that we have ever seen. Now, I understand Tom has had a very large amount of success. Kind of goes back to the whole individual player versus team success. How do you kind of draw that line as a fan? And my only the only thing that I would say as a retort would be, if Aaron had that defense, had the NFC East, and had Bill Belichick, how many rings would he have? And I think we all know the answer is more than he has now. But I hope you had a good week. Hope you had some good week with your bets. Obviously, Halloween weekend is truly odd in a variety of ways. So far, I feel like this is kind of the midway point now of the season. I am at a whopping 53%. It's This has been one of the more challenging years. This has been one of the more very odd years in terms of covers, in terms of the back door, seemingly always open. You'd think we'd learn, but I truly hope that you've had some luck. But I kind of wanted to revisit the Thursday night game because obviously in the weeks leading up to last week, the morality of sports was in not only the news, but it was also in our conscious as sports fans. And as I'm watching the game and I'm there, obviously when you go to any kind of an event, you're going to hear things. And I would like to have thought that 18 months inside would have perhaps given people more of an appreciation for what we have outside of our homes. But if we're going to be going off of behavior, I think we tragically haven't learned a goddamn thing. As we're leaving, I see a fan dressed in is it red? Is it maroon? Is it cardinal red? Either way, um, and he's literally weeping. And I understand that you want your team to do well, quote unquote, your team. Um, but as I had said earlier, that you can't choose where you're from. So why allow something that's not in your control to kind of dictate who you root for? And as we're walking out of the concourse, and this is at State Farm Stadium, just people getting in each other's faces, unmasked, obviously, and saying some vile things over a football game, which was a fantastic football game. It was so much fun to watch. Arizona got up 7-zip. I jumped online, went on Bovada, and I took Aaron Rodgers and the Packers as an 11-point underdog, and that was all right with me. But to see the utter vile, the utter um, indignation of people in regard to sports is really truly sad because to walk away from what you just saw and not be at least in a good mood that you just saw the pinnacle of what the NFL has to offer, the greatest Thursday night football game of all time, and that had nothing to do with what happened on the field. Before the game, it was being touted as the greatest Thursday night football game of all time. from the winning percentage, from who's going to be on the field, from the rosters, from everything like that. It was absolutely amazing. It was an amazing game. I had so much fun. I had no truly vested interest in it until I was there and I saw what was happening. Um, but to see that some quote unquote sports fans who still react that way is beyond disappointing. But what's even more disappointing is what we saw in the weeks leading up to it. What the Washington football team, the Washington racial slurs, what they have proven is that corruption starts at the top. And the only thing trickle down about trickle down economics is that the corruption trickles down. And we're not going to pick on the owner here. That's not what this show is about, even though him and all 5'3" of him makes it very easy. It makes him a very easy target. But at any point, while those emails were going through, at any point while those atrocities were happening, to cheerleaders, to people on the payroll, within the offices, the toxic work environment, the fact that nobody had the testicular fortitude or the common sense to simply speak up and say, no, what we're doing here is wrong. And that's got nothing to do with the owner. It's got to do with just the system that's in place, the systems of oppression that are not only in place in society, but in capitalism and in sports, obviously too. And it's pathetic because why do lives have to be ruined so a team can go 7-9? Why do why do people have to be verbally and in some instances, some of the reports that I saw, almost physically assaulted for standing up for what's right, simply because a team has been there since the 1930s and they go and they're lucky to go 8-8 every year. Um, and if you are to this day, after everything that we've learned, after everything that we've seen, and the fact that a football coach 3 time zones away is the only person to get caught, if you will, or the only domino to fall so far. Um, I hope every single one of the other dominoes are sweating. And the fact that the owner's wife is now handling day to day, quote unquote, day to day operations, um, after everything that we have learned, and after everything that we have seen, and everything that has come out, that um, the Washington Post and subsequently the Wall Street Journal articles that came out in regard to the Washington racial slurs, and really you couldn't come up with anything else. I have a shirt. It's a gym shirt that has the logo, but it's very much a logo of Ken, and it says Caucasians. They might as well have just called them there. I'm wearing this today because this is the best team in the NBA right now, and they're playing Luka and the Mavericks tonight. We will be getting into that. But after everything that you've learned, and if you are still a fan of this team that refused to change their name, if you are still a fan of this team that made cheerleaders do degrading things, and you don't need to do that much research to find out just how truly vile and corrupt and fucked up this whole thing was. And after all of this, if you are still a fan, if you are still someone who gives his or her undying loyalty because of some misbegotten sense of hometown pride, go to hell. And while you're down there, save a seat for Dan Snyder and Kyle Rittenhouse. The other thing, too, that happened, which was something that hit a little bit more close to home with me, is the hockey team from Chicago, the Chicago racial slurs. Um, when when something like this happens, and not only, and this kind of harps on what I was saying a minute ago, the fact that no one said anything and that they won the Stanley Cup and gave this guy 24 hours with the cup instead of reporting him to authorities, instead of reporting him for being a pedophile, instead of reporting him for being a predator, for being a sexual predator of young men. You say nothing. And then he goes and gets a job at a high school and essentially rapes a 14-year-old boy? Everybody in that room, Joel Quenneville, Stan Bowman, I know the list continues to go on and on and on. Go to hell and save a seat for every single fan that is still a fan of the Chicago racial slur hockey team. When did this happen? Or has it always happened? Are we just seeing it now? Are quote unquote sports fans so fucking blind that they would rather walk as blindly as they obviously are, walk blindly to the light and simply support and cheer and give their money to a team that is not only corrupt, but full of criminals, scumbags, who literally would throw away any morality that they have, and I doubt that they ever had any, to win some fucking games? Is that really where we're at right now? Is that really what this is for? Is it just so you can say my team won? Are you really just going to root for them because, well, they won me, 3 Stanley Cups? Really? Where they conveniently covered up Patrick Kane, all 5'3" of him, being a rapist? And he is a rapist? They, not only that, they made him the face of the franchise. All the while they're harboring a predator. And you're still going to root for this team? Why? Because everyone cheers during the stupid national anthem? Because it's so cool to say that our flag is still there for an opera singer? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? When is enough going to be? When is it going to be that? Where you just say, no, you know what? I'm going to choose a different team that's not run by scumbags. I don't give a fuck where I'm from. When is this going to happen? When are quote unquote sports fans going to wake the fuck up? Stop looking for morality in sports when you are showing what your morality or lack thereof truly is by not even taking a stand against an organization that is corrupt from top to bottom. And these are the same people that for 30 odd years have been saying, oh, no. You can't put $5 on my team to win. That's immoral. No. I can name the team a racial slur, but you can't take my team on the money line because that's wrong. That's what they've been telling us. That's what they've been telling everybody. And it's sickening. And yes, I do quotes a lot because I don't believe that the true sports fan is a sports fan. You're not a fan of a sport. You're a Kool-Aid drinking cheerleader. That's all you are. And you are beholden to a team because your parents lived somewhere and they conceived and then they had you. And that's why you're going to root for that team? Because of where you're fucking from? When there's literally there's so many other teams you can choose to. Well, I'm not from there. That's such a you problem. It's sickening. Come on, sports fans. Let's be better. Let's improve. Your allegiance is a you problem, and yet you think it gives you some sense of pride. It's pathetic. It is just pathetic that all of this stuff continuously happens and you still go and you pay for overpriced seats. You pay $13 for a fucking Miller Lite. You pay $7 for a fucking hot dog. Take a stand. Stand for something. Stand against something. Have your voice. Stand for what's right. And fuck what's wrong. If you were a fan of either of those teams and all this information came out the last 2 weeks, what is holding you back from saying fuck them? What is holding you back? Pride? Pride in what? In your city? Okay, let's go down that road real quick. Okay, let's look at Chicago. Okay, I've got family there. I spent a lot of time there. I've got roots there. Highest murder rate in the country. In order to win the most meaningless ring in Major League Baseball history, you had to trot out 2 women abusers, Chapman and Russell. Where's your morals? And what you cried because you finally won the most insignificant ring in Major League history, in major sports history? Good for you. And then let's keep going. The Bears. If it weren't for one single year when the NFL was shit, when the New England Patriots came out of the AFC, the most overrated Super Bowl champions ever. Take that away. What are you? You're the fucking Lions. You're the fucking Vikings. And Washington? I don't understand why, again, quote unquote, sports fans have such a hard time with this. What exactly are you protecting? What exactly are you standing up for? What exactly do you stand for? Because it seems to me that the same people that were saying, no, our football team name can be a racial slur, but you can't put down $5 on them to hit the over. That's immoral. The same people doing that are the same people saying blue lives matter. It's not a blue fucking life, it's a blue fucking shirt. There is no such thing as blue lives. Blue Lives Matter is a direct and racist response to Black Lives Matter. That's what it is. And so what exactly are we standing for here? And all you need to know about the morality of sports is that there isn't any. There isn't any. It is a morally bankrupt space that is clogged with old white men, with people who can't hit a jumper to save their life, people who couldn't kick a 30-yard field goal, yet they send death threats to a kicker for missing a kick, someone who couldn't make a slap shot on an empty net, and someone who couldn't hit a 60-mile-an-hour fastball. Be better. Society, sports fans, start with sports. Be better. Evolve. Improve. You don't have to be beholden to an organization because you were raised somewhere or you came into this world somewhere. And it's the same people that are giving Calvin Ridley shit for taking a mental health break, saying, oh, you make a lot of money, get in there. Shut the fuck up. Coming from someone who can't run a mile without puking. We need to evolve. If you want to be a happier sports fan, you need to evolve. If you want to be someone who enjoys sports and not enjoys a team, and to be honest with you, I think there's some cynical pleasure in the lows that you feel. And I'll never understand it. It's almost like misery loves company. And when it comes from the perspective of my team sucks, everyone else around me feels the same sucking. even though the the billionaire up in the owner's box would gladly move this team if it meant a tax break or if he can't get the public to fund his next arena, which he can do on his own or he or she can do on their own whenever they choose. But there's some camaraderie in the misery. There's some kumbaya sitting around a fire saying how much you fucking suck. Why? Can anybody answer that? Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on email. I'll gladly listen to why you are still a fan of the Washington racial slurs and the Chicago hockey racial slurs. Let's do some fucking lines. So, full disclosure, I think I had said it earlier. In football this year, I'm a whopping 53%. If you can, if you're a unit wagerer as I am, I'm so hopeful that you are more than that. As someone who's up a whopping 3 units this year. But this is how it works. This is what happens. The one thing that if you're going to be a professional sports gambler, you also need to be a professional money saver, a professional penny pincher, and a professional riding outer. You need to be able to ride out everything because cold streaks go hot, hot streaks go cold. There's a reason why if you hit 48% of your wages, you're considered a professional sports gambler. Currently, through the first couple of weeks of the NBA and the NHL, I am 25, 26, and 7. Those 7 pushes are extremely rare and very odd. And when you look at that, and when you look at it from the perspective of if those would have just went my way, I'm sitting pretty. And so what we're going to do today, I'm actually going to look at some spreads on the hard court, hard floor, the NBA. And then we're also going to look at a couple games in the NHL. Puck, yeah, we're going to do hockey. I pucking love pucking hockey. It's so pucking fun. All right, so the first game that we're going to take a look at here is the Miami Heat, the best team in the NBA. And they're playing the Mavericks. They're playing the Mavericks at home. Currently, right now, it's a 2.5-point spread to the Heat. Now, one thing that you need to know about NBA and college basketball is a little bit different just because like home court advantage can mean so much more. You go to Allen Fieldhouse, you go to Rupp, you go to all these others, you can feel it there. And it's usually the home team gets 4 points. Football, you get 3, you get a field goal. In hoops, you get 4. And so for the Mavericks to be a 2.5-point underdog at home, that tells me that the Miami Heat are a fundamentally superior team. The Heat are 5-1 straight up and against the spread. The Mavericks are 4-2 straight up, but only 2-4 against the spread. So they win, but they don't cover. Right now, the over/under is 209.5. Why is that important? Because Miami on the season is 2-4 to the under, and get this, the Mavericks are 0-6 to the under. They haven't hit the over yet, and right now, because the over/under is at 209.5, 86% of the money is on the over. If I have to have action on this, I'm going to go Miami to cover. It's a Tyler Hero 3. It's a Kyle Lowry 3. It's a very weird number. Generally speaking, when you do see some sort of an underdog at home, it's generally 4 or more, which just kind of says the other team is far superior. Now, I personally think that Miami is fundamentally superior, especially when you look at Trey Burke and Kristaps Porzingis are out for the Mavs as well. Miami seems pretty healthy. Victor Oladipo's still out. Um, as Kendrick Perkins likes to say, Bam out of the bayou, Bam out of bio. He has a little bit of a knee ailment, so he's questionable. But even without him, I still think because of how good on the defensive end Miami is, I do think that they are the superior team. The last 10 times these two teams have played, Miami is 7-3 straight up, 6-3-1 against the spread. Um, I mean, look, these these teams are 2-10 to the under. I don't, from what I'm seeing here. Wow. The Mavericks haven't even sniffed the over yet. They're averaging 99 points a game, and they give up 103. Miami's averaging 114 a game, and they give up 97. Um, so I would go Miami. I would also do a little lunch money on the under. 80% of the money is on Miami, and 80% of the money is on the over. That smells like shit. So this might be one where I sit back and just enjoy. I love each of these teams. 305 till I die. Just because I love South Beach. I hate what's happening to it. I hate what's going on right now with the utter capitalistic purge that's happening on South Beach. And a lot of people who call that home are being uprooted because they don't have a choice. Anyway, whole other discussion for a whole other day. The other game that I wanted to look at here was it's the Sacramento Kings at the Utah Jazz. The Kings are 3-3 straight up, same as against the spread. Utah's 5-1 straight up, 5-1 against the spread as well. So the reason why this is something that I want to look at is because of the last three. The last three times these teams have played, Utah's 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread, and the average score is 128-101. So in my estimation, the largest spread in the NBA you'll ever see is right around 15. It's very rare to see it. You're certainly not going to see it over 20. Right now, the spread is Utah at 9. The over/under is at 222. Another interesting thing: Utah on the season is 1-5 to the under. Sacramento, which you usually think of with De'Aaron Fox and just kind of how much they can score, you'd think they'd be all over the over. They're 2-4 on the under. And at 222 is generally speaking the average. Is the average over under. It's going to vary from team to team, but if you see two teams that are middle of the pack when it comes to offense, in fact, let's just go ahead and let me see here real quick. So Sacramento's 15th in total offense. Utah is 11. Now you flip that on the other side of the coin. Jeez. So Utah total defense is third, and Sacramento's 24th. So generally speaking, 225-ish, that's going to be a pretty normal over-under. It's going to be a pretty run-of-the-mill. But since these teams are shown that they go in the under, I would go in the under as well. I'd also take a good look at Utah to cover. As you know what, some teams just have their number. Some teams just have someone's number. Sacramento 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games against Utah. Once again, I'm getting all of this information from my friends over at OddsShark. Would love to be a sponsor. Hit me up. The next game that I want to take a look at too is New Orleans against Phoenix. New Orleans is 1-6 straight up, but they're 4-3 against the spread. Phoenix is 2-3 straight up, 1-4 against the spread. And the reason why this is important to me is because, again, you've got two teams that are kind of seemingly headed in opposite directions. Now, the irony is New Orleans, they can't really seem to win much, but they are 4-1 in their last 5, and Phoenix is 1-8 against the number in their last 9, and it's 12 points to Phoenix right now. Look, nobody necessarily wants to wager on a crappy team. For instance, Did you want to, wager on New York last night when they were up against the Chiefs? No, but they covered. As I had said earlier, I think it was a previous show I had mentioned how often double digits in the NFL, you take the underdog and you're 66% of the time you're going to hit. So I think New Orleans would be a good lean here, just because sports. Sports is the ultimate reality television. You literally never know what's going to happen next. But let's move over to the ice here. One of the games I want to look at is the Arizona Coyotes against the Philadelphia Flyers, and the reason why is this. Okay, Arizona's 0-8-1, Philly's 4-2-1. Philly's actually pretty good, and the last three, Arizona's undefeated. They're 2-0-1 against them because sports, But right now on the puck line, you can get the Flyers at plus money. I think that's a good reach. I think it's a good lean. I also see that Arizona averages 1.4 and Philly's at 3.5. The juice might be kind of, yeah. So the over under right now is at 5.5. The juice is heavy on the under. Well, it's not that heavy. It's about minus 115. So the thing that's just so fascinating about something like this is that Arizona has beaten them. Like they've owned them. The last three games they're 2-0-1, and they've beaten them by an average of 2 goals. And I that's huge. That's a very large amount of when you're doing this. And so sorry, that's a large spread to cover when you're in hockey. And so my outlook is it has to stop sometime. So I would lean Philly because Arizona sucks. The next one is kind of along the same line. It's Ottawa at Minnesota. Now, Ottawa played last night, and so they're on the second night of a back to back. And the last three times that Minnesota has played them, they're 3-0-0, and the average score is 4-1. And so this is an example, kind of like the other game, Arizona Philly, where Arizona has their number. I'm going Philly. Minnesota has Ottawa's number, and I'm going Minnesota just because it's Ottawa's second game in the same night. Sorry, second game in 2 nights. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust that at all. But here's the other thing. Minnesota this year against the spread is 0-8. They're 5-3 straight up. So they're 0-8. They're 0-8 against the spread. And so right now, the best money line I'm seeing right now. Listen, they gotta get one win against the spread at some time, right? So I think Minnesota is a good lean on the ice tonight. Um, as I said, Halloween weekend is usually pretty messed up when it comes to how this works. Personally, I'm cursed over Halloween, so something always seems to happen. So the fact that I'm sitting at 53%, I'm actually pretty happy about. So hope you guys got some good insight out of what I had to say here today. Good luck with your bets.